All right, what's up, y'all? It's your boy Vinnie-Dangerous, and I'm back with another installment of Dangerous Minds. First, before we get started, I just want to give a shout out to the John Evan Cash Foundation. I just came from Detroit doing a mental health awareness event for their organization. Much love to the Cash family. Much love to Free Radical for setting up this opportunity for me and a few other artists to make the trip out there. So yeah, it was just a dope experience. I definitely have some more footage, for that coming in the future. So stay tuned for that. But today, I just want to go ahead and introduce y'all to my guest, my homie, Dope MC from the 336. Um, me and him got some joints. We got some joints out now. We got some more joints, and he got more music coming soon. So, hey, it's my boy Saint Pat.
Yeah, man, good. Hey, glad to be on the show, man. Shout out to everybody that watches my boy. You know what I'm saying? I'm just happy to be on the show, be a part of it. You know what I'm saying? Get into the topic of the day. And yeah, man, I'm ready to get into it.
Oh man, and then like anything that you want to say before we get started, like what tell them where they can follow you and like any upcoming projects you want to promote real quick.
Yeah, man, everybody can follow me on the gram, Saint Pat underscore the villain. That's THAVILLEN. On Facebook, Saint Pat the villain, same thing. As far as the music is concerned, shoot, look me up on all streaming platforms, Saint Pat. Go get my single Trap Phone. Also, of course, get all the villains, THAVILLENZ. All the villains, music that's on all social media platforms. Um, you know, and as far as new projects coming, I got some things in the works. Might have some, might have a performance coming up. Trying to get a little video shoot, not a video shoot, but a photo shoot and a video shoot actually. And then my album, Better Late Than Never, should be dropping before the end of the year. So y'all stay tuned for that.
Yo, and like I knew you would be perfect for this episode. Like we actually had like a little convo, and it kind of inspired the topic for this episode. Um, about trendy politics is what we're gonna call it, and
Right.
everyone was so critical this summer when big corporations like Nike or Starbucks coincidentally going back, basically saying one thing and then doing something else when they, told their employees they can't wear Black Lives Matter inspired apparel. But, just kind of like this idea of like these people trying to cash in on the real issues, like the real movements for correcting certain issues, especially black the inequality that black people have in the judicial system, um police brutality just across the board for everybody, and seeing these other corporations kind of jump on the bandwagon really like upset a lot of people. And I kind of feel the same way about rap songs that come out around the same, like when something big happens, artists that have traditionally shied away from talking about certain things in their music, that may even rap about and talk about things that are at the detriment of black people, their own people, with acts of violence, things like drugs, maybe even hints of domestic violence, things like that. And then we'll put out songs and make statements to cater to that, cater to that movement in the moment. Like, how do you feel about that? Like when stuff like that happens?
Basically, I mean, like, I feel like it's kind of, like a lot of people do. It's a good marketing move.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, don't get me wrong. I think these things need to be said as far as like what's really going on in the world. But I think that also a lot of people are still kind of stuck with what they're doing musically, and they
Mm-hmm.
don't really want to shy away from that and kind of, get off their core fans because they don't know how their core fans are going to take it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, um, if you got a guy who's over here talking about, just, getting money, the typical stuff. The next thing
Mm-hmm.
you know, he's over here doing something that's completely different. I mean, people are going to look at him like, hey, what's that? We don't want to hear that. We want to hear this other stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, I think it's all about opportunity and not the right. And that could go either way.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's always good to say something, especially when things are going on. But I do think some people try to capitalize off of it just because it's a popular topic at the time to get themselves a little bit more shine and, stuff like that.
See, I get that. And when you really think about it, no matter, I guess what subgenre of hip hop that you fall under, like hip hop in particular, because you kind of see it more so with hip hop, with this big divide between, what is being said in songs inspired by a certain movement like Black Lives Matter versus what their normal catalog is. I think it's just, I understand the marketing side, because in general, like a lot of music is inspired by the moment, but I just feel it's very disingenuous when artists decide to jump on this now, and then the very next song I can hear you talking about killing the same black people that you say that you're for. And like, I think that's where the disconnect, and that's where it feels like I equate them to those corporations that are trying to capitalize off trauma. You're trying to capitalize off trauma yourself, because you have all these guns, you have all this violence for the nigga down the street. But when a cop decides to do it, all of a sudden everybody holding hands and it's kind of kumbaya and shit. Like when they want to put out music like that and then go right back to talking about killing niggas.
Right. Yeah, I think you hit it on the head right there. You said the word disingenuous, and that's exactly what it is. Because, like I said, it's just the opportunity. It's like, oh, let me break from what my usual thing is real quick. I'm gonna talk about this one time.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's gonna eat it up, but then the next thing I'm talking about how much money I'm getting. Fuck these niggas down the street, down the block. Y'all can't mess with me. All the stuff that's typical. Like I said, I think that with that being said too, the average listener these days in hip hop, I mean, is a lot younger than myself and you. You know what I'm saying? We're right in the same age.
Mm-hmm.
And, we have a lot better, I'm not going to say better, but I'm going to say we have a lot more of a deeper understanding of a lot of different people in music when it comes to hip hop. So it's like, the people that we like, it's like they've been talking about stuff, you know what I'm saying? But it's just that, they don't look at it as, appealing. I guess they don't look at it as appealing enough to pay attention to it. But yet when somebody who's in the forefront, or as I like to say, the mainstream of hip hop, as soon as they say something, everybody's listening. Meanwhile, you got people who don't get the proper recognition and credit that they deserve. They don't get the attention. I mean, hell, it's even underground artists or, independent artists who say stuff, and it's like, whatever, but you know what I'm saying? They don't get the proper, credit and recognition that they deserve.
And like that actually ties in real well with the artist that kind of inspired this episode, because when it came out, I felt that was my first response to the bigger picture, the Lil Baby put out. It felt very like people were praising it, and I'm not gonna diss it because it's a good song. And in the moment, it felt like if you just listen to the song and take it into the time that it came out, and just in that moment, like it really did express a lot of people's feelings, very well. During in the heat of the moment, like in the heat of the height of the tension that inspired like the new wave of protests after George Floyd and Breonna Taylor's murders and Ahmaud Arbery. And but recently in an interview that he did like late last month, he talked about how he didn't want to do politics anymore, or not is do songs about politics anymore. And I think the exact quote that was used in the headline was, "I don't want to be no Malcolm X or Martin Luther King." And that was when it kind of confirmed that like other feeling I had. Because like I said, you can look at the moment, like the music in the moment, and be like, wow, that's a dope song. But if you compare that to your other catalog, and you put that side by side with how you are on the regular, like I just feel like this is just you trying to get a number one hit out of people's trauma. And then once that shit's not selling no more, that shit is not the trending topic on Twitter no more, you out of it.
Right. It's crazy. I just seen, what I'm saying, the actual his quote. He was saying, the more I'm seeing what's up with all this shit, the more I'm like, let me back off politics. Like, why would you? I mean, like, a lot of people, as we all know, live vicariously through their music. I mean, it keeps
Right.
a lot of people alive, myself included. So,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people who I personally have encountered, you know what I'm saying, that are a lot younger than I am. Of course, they got Baby in they top five, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. And it's like, well, damn, like you really gonna sit here and say, hey, I don't even want to be on that no more. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, what are you really saying? Like, are you, like, to the people who really fuck with you, is like, what are you saying here? Because it's like, it's cool to talk about how much money you got and how much jewelry you got and your cars and everything else, but when you want to speak on something that's dead serious, you just do it once and then come out publicly and say, I don't want to do it no more. I mean, it's crazy, you know?
It's whack. And like because I think about like what you're saying, because that just brought up another point, is that this guy, just like a lot of other artists like him, have a lot of people that listen to their music, that really follow their music to a T. And like you could say, and I like one Pac is one of my favorites of all time, but like I used to hate this quote that he's the first person that I remember hearing saying something like this, but a lot of people adapted it later, was basically like, I'm no role model. And they're basically trying to say, I'm not a role model, like, so I don't have to be responsible for what I'm putting out there. And I don't have to be responsible for how somebody else interprets it. Even though when you really think about it, regardless, you chose to be on to use this platform in a certain way, and people are going to listen regardless of what your intentions are, regardless if this is just for you, you're just trying to make money off of it. Like, people are going to follow your lead set by your music if they are like really, into your stuff and really follow what you say. So for a Lil Baby to make that statement, there was a lot of people that probably listened to that song that have been fans of his and thought, wow, that's dope. Like, somebody like him really cares. So for him to turn around now and basically say, oh no, I'm not doing that anymore. Like, it just basically it'll have in turn those people say later, like, you know what, I don't really care about it anymore either. And now you pulled in all these people to be like set in the right direction in a way, and now you're turning them the opposite direction. I think that's whack.
Right. Especially with all this going on in the world. I mean, we all know, man, 2020 has been a crazy year,
Mm-hmm.
top to bottom. And then all of a sudden, we're roughly a month away from the election. You
Mm-hmm.
know, why not use that platform built off that song to be like, hey, man, we got to get out here. We got to make change. Get your butt out there and vote, or, whatever the case may be. So now, if he ain't trying to be a role model, what you think? Everybody that listen, they're gonna be like, okay, well, shoot, he ain't doing it. What's the point of even doing it now? I ain't gonna worry about it now. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna worry about these
Exactly.
social issues. I ain't gonna worry about, trying to get out here and change what's going on in my community for the better or for the future. I don't care. He don't care. I don't care. And
Right.
it's sad to say. I mean, hey, that's real shit. I mean, and people really follow not only him, but a lot of other artists just like that. Just as simple as saying, hey, if they're not doing it, I ain't doing it. If they ain't fucking with it, I'm not fucking with it. And, you can't always live like that because you ain't living like they are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you just, that's the thing. You ain't
'Cause they
living like
got
they are.
money. They good. Like, now you're in a
Exactly.
position where you ain't got to worry about it. Like, other people
Exactly.
listening to you, they take your lead and end up dead or in jail.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, it's crazy that you could go from, you know, speaking about something that is dead serious as far as, the police brutality, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd and others, and then all of a sudden go back to talking about, killing your fellow man that you're supposed to be standing and marching with and
Mm-hmm.
fighting with. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's very, hypocritical, if you could, if that's the right
Yes.
word. But you know what I'm
That's
saying? It's just like,
yeah.
wow. Yeah. So I mean,
Because it's like, if you want to be that guy, just keep that same energy
right.
throughout your career. Like, if he would have went on and just made the music that he's always traditionally made, just like, somebody like the Baby. Like, I remember watching the BET Awards, right? And I thought it was so crazy how his performance, he did the Rockstar Black Lives Matter remix that he did with Roddy Ricch. And even though I thought that was all that in itself is already kind of a layered issue, like, I have an issue with that topic of song you're trying to flip it into some kind of political statement. That felt like I don't have anything, so I'm just gonna use something I already got and just switch it up a little bit. But
Right.
I did not like they did during his BET Awards performance. Did you see that?
Yeah, I seen it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So so basically, remember the he did that song first, and then he did another song, and immediately after the song, the song that he's performing, the second one, is I'm gonna kill this nigga, I'm gonna fuck this nigga up. Like that was like the perfect encapsulation of why that shit don't work, because now you literally just did a song about how coming together, like why are these cops, how can I convince these cops that we're not a threat, that they shouldn't see us that way, and then go into the next song talking about killing a nigga. So you are begging and pleading and trying to reach an understanding with a cop that'll kill a black person unarmed for unjust reasons, but then you have all the smoke for a nigga down the street that you may have some kind of verbal beef with.
Mm-hmm. And you know what's crazy? Even in that same song on the Rockstar remix, like I said, he just put that new verse in, but then it still goes to his second verse in the song where he still keep on referring back to that situation with him and the
Right.
dude in Walmart. And don't get me wrong, in all seriousness, if somebody's about to press you when you with your fam and you got to protect yourself, by all means you do it.
Oh yeah,
but
of course.
At the same time, it's crazy. It strikes me as very odd that he continues to bring this situation up. I mean, we all know what you about, my homie, but it's like, bro, you don't got to keep bringing it up like that. Like, again, you're going to talk about, let's come together. Let's stop these cops from, shooting us and killing us. But yet you're talking about it yourself, literally,
right?
Because we all know you've done it. Not just saying that you can do it, but we know you've done it. So why are you going to keep on bringing it up, man?
That's the disconnect. And there's so many other artists that you could say that for. Like,
right.
Sure, I even think about T.I. Like, T.I. is being kind of more so on we need to come together. Like, he was out in the street protesting. But it's like, wasn't you the same dude that got arrested for having all these guns? And you was using it protected against niggas? What was them guns at when y'all out there protesting for the police? You know how they acting. You come in peace, they ain't coming in peace, but you had all the smoke for like niggas who may or may not really even coming for you. Might have just been paranoia about what happened to his homeboy, which I can understand that, but it's just a disconnect when the energy isn't the same for these same police officers that are like even a bigger threat to black people, in my opinion. They're bigger threat to you than like, niggas that you got beef with. Because at least you know that nigga going to jail if he fuck with you. Them cops is getting away with
everything.
Done.
Everything. Yeah. And the biggest thing between that is, it's one thing for somebody like T.I. or, the Baby or Lil Baby or the Baby to, to say something as far as something that's political, but like we said earlier, they have money. You know what I'm saying? Right. They don't really got to worry about, if they choose to still be out in the streets and still be in the slums with their folks, so be it. But the average person, you just riding down the street or walking or doing whatever, cops see you, they pull you over. Hey, it's a 50-50. Either you gonna make it or you're not. Right. And not to say that it wouldn't be the same for them, but then again, if they getting harassed by the police, they could do something about it. They can, hey, take action. I'm gonna sue these people or this city's police department or this, that, and the third. Average person ain't doing that. You know what I'm saying? So, and like you said too, the key word right there is disconnect, man. I think that, when it comes to music, man, it's crazy that, people can connect with people that so much that obviously we've never met a lot of these folks, but the stuff that they're talking about, more than likely you'll never be able to obtain in your life. For real. Like, unless you really, you working or you doing something real crazy, but you're not going to get that, man.
Yeah,
exactly. Cases. You're not going to be out here with a mansion. You're not going to be out here with 5 foreign whips and 20 broads in your house and all this. You're not going to get that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't understand fully, like, how you really been able to connect with these people when you're probably not going to be doing that. you know, and that's
Exactly.
why I went back to saying like earlier, like these people, these young, especially the younger generation, they follow these people to a T. I
Right.
mean, that's just facts. And then don't get me wrong, I had my favorite artists, you know, when I was, you know, 18, 19, 20 that I followed, but they weren't on that same wave. They were on some other stuff. But
Right.
I just connected with the music because I felt what they were saying. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't fault them for feeling what they're saying, but at the same time, we got to realize these folks got money. They ain't got work. They ain't got too much to worry about. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So
So shoot, how do you feel about artists that stay quiet during these moments? Kind of like on the flip side, because I know a lot of people and a lot of a lot of talk, especially in the early days of Black Lives Matter, and kind of like when um, police brutality being caught on film was like in the forefront. Like people were criticizing artists that are not on the political spectrum, that don't speak about this stuff on a regular basis. They were criticizing them for not speaking up, but this might be their way of speaking up, in that moment and kind of satisfying, those complaints. So, I mean, do you think some artists should just stay silent during the situation instead of like kind of monetizing this trauma?
I think at the end of the day, sometimes you're in a damned if you do, damned if you don't
Mm-hmm.
situation. You know what I'm saying? I think that some people, uh, I think that if you've never honestly said anything, even remotely, not even political, but let's just say outside of your normal subject matter,
Mm-hmm.
like that's positive, I don't think that you need to speak on it. Like Lil Baby, he did
Right.
it. Everybody loved him. Everybody's calling him a goat. Now all of a sudden he's backtracking. That's what happens. However, I think that people, uh, like I said, like Cole or Kendrick, uh, Lupe,
Mm-hmm.
it's not like they're not saying anything because they've been out.
Right.
Cole was out there in Ferguson. We've seen Kendrick out there protesting and marching. We've seen, Lupe talk about things and countless other artists. Uh, but with that being said, it's also like well, it's just Cole talking or it's just
Right.
Kendrick talking. But if
Like
Lil
it's like
Baby or the Baby's
expected.
talking, exactly. If Lil Baby or the Baby's talking, oh, let's listen to it now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But again, people like Cole, Kendrick, Lupe, they've been talking about this stuff for years, and
Mm-hmm.
nobody seems to want to bring that up. But just because it's the hot topic in 2020, now all of a sudden is being paid attention like it should have been for all these years. I think
You know,
it's a bit fishy.
because I see that a lot, like with artists on like dipping in and out of it. Because this, honestly, when this stuff happens, like since I would say like Mike Brown in Ferguson, like when stuff like this happens, these wave of songs come out. And originally, I would only notice it from people like Cole, um, like Kendrick, like Lupe, artists that are already in that spectrum, like Common or maybe Black Thought.
Mm-hmm.
They will do those songs in the moment, and it makes sense because it kind of lines up with what they already do. But I feel like as these things happen more and more, and because of how streaming platforms work, because I know that's probably a big part of it too, is that
Right.
people in the moment just want to hear that. So in the cases of like Cole and Kendrick that do this, have these kind of dialogues in their music, uh, throughout their career, has been about that from the very beginning. Like it does kind of fall on deaf ears, 'cause a lot of those people, like those guys, don't appeal to somebody like that. Listen to somebody like Little Baby or The Baby or these other artists like that may dip into the political realm. When situations like that happen. So if it was a continued thing, right? Like if they said, all right, you know what? I see what's going on and I want to maybe not completely change your music, like the dialogue in your music, the content in your music, but also, just maybe tweaking it, like making little adjustments to still true to you, but it reflects what you've learned from paying attention to this situation, like you claimed when you dropped the song after a Black person gets killed by a cop on camera. You know what I mean? Like if,
Right.
because I honestly, like if an artist kept that same energy, if you've never heard any type of political shit, because there's plenty of rappers that have never put out music like that. Like
Right.
Future, I can't think of a Future track where he's talked about this. Maybe a line or two. It's almost like I acknowledge it, but I'm not about to sit here and act like I'm this changed political figure on a record.
Right.
And like, you know, people may criticize him or may criticize another artist that is a trap artist or a gangster rapper or whatever you want to call it, and that really talk about killing niggas. It's not right, but at least keep that energy consistently. Like, don't dip in, because like I think Lil Baby got a #1 record off of that, and I think the Baby Rockstar, the remix, the Black Lives Matter remix, he got a #1 off of that.
Mm-hmm.
So you out here succeeding, talking like dipping in because this is a trendy thing now. But then when the heat gets on, like I think Lil Baby, I had read before, maybe a few days before that article came out about him abandoning politics in his music. Basically there was some kind of rumor that he was endorsing a DA nominee in Georgia, and he swiftly like denied it. He was like, nah, you know, I don't want to get mixed up in none of that. And I'm not too familiar with that person. You know, they say he endorsed, so I'm not too sure if that was a smart move or not, like depending on what side of the fence they may stand on politically.
Right.
But to me, that was like the beginning of, you said what you said on that song and you made your money off of that song, but now people are looking to you as somebody to have a voice, you know, whatever kind of voice you're comfortable with, but just having a voice to speak on what's right, like what needs to be said right now for somebody that may not listen to Cole, may not listen to Kendrick or Common or The Roots or Lupe or anybody like that. But you know, may listen to you and may have a different perspective. And then I felt like when the heat got on him, for him to actually do something positive with the song that he made so much money off of, the continued work, he just decided, no, this isn't for me. And I think that was when it's kind of like, you know, Trump running for president. I think he's overwhelmed. He wanted to run because he just felt like he was, you know, he just was that influential. He could just take this election. He did, you know, crookedly or whatever. Like he did. And, you know, you get into that space and you way over your head and you see the condition that the United States is in now. And I think maybe he knew I'm not built for that. But I'm saying I think you need to evaluate that within yourself before making a song where it's not like that money was being donated to any, you know, causes or anything like that. You was speaking up on something, you made your money and you dipped, and I don't think that's right.
Right. I mean, and it kind of coincides what you just said about the president, man. It's like, you know, sometimes some people get in over their heads with a certain situation, and then once they find themselves firmly in that situation, they're like, oh, wait a minute, hold on now, I don't want this now. It's already too late for that. You know what I'm saying? Right. I think that, you know, and like you said with the money, like, hey, you making your money, you getting your streams up, you got a #1, you on Billboard, you doing your thing. You know what I'm saying? You made your money. So, you know, it would kind of be crazy for him in his mind to think like, well, I don't want to change my style up. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I do what I do. I had to talk about it. I did talk about it once. It was good, but do I really want to have to keep this up? I think, matter of fact, what I think it is they think that it's going to be too much work to keep this up. I don't think that it's, and I'm talking about my own personal thing. It's like, I don't think that it would be bad for you to consistently talk about these issues when it comes to police brutality, when it comes to trying to, work with the police, get the police to understand these folks in these certain areas that are, impoverished or, just, whatever. Like it wouldn't be bad for you to say, hey man, we gotta, or you hold an event with your local police in Atlanta where he's from and be like, yo, let's talk about these issues. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about this stuff. I mean, we all grown here. Let's talk about these issues. Let's see both sides of the fence, and let's come to a common ground and try to make this thing work for the better. It's not hard to do that. You got a hell of a platform. People are gonna, if you tell people, hey, October 31st or October 30th, I want everybody to come out downtown Atlanta or whatever, you know, we're gonna have a sit down discussion with the police out here, and we're gonna hear if anybody got something to say, come out here and we're gonna address it. What would be wrong with that?
Right.
That would
like
do
nobody asking you to be Malcolm X. Nobody asking you to
exactly.
be Martin Luther King, but it's like, bro, do something with the influence that you got.
Exactly. I mean, and of course, you know, I think maybe it was just a in the moment thing that he said, talking about Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. That was a whole different thing. We talking about music, and more specifically rap music. You know what I'm saying? Which already is looked at as, you know what I'm saying, the bottom of the whatever in a lot of other people's eyes. But yet it's still totally influential in the world of music, you know, not only for black people, for everybody. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to even people who try to, you know, skim off the culture of what we do, you know, they still following it. Even if people look at it like, oh, it's just rap music, hip hop, blah, blah, blah. But they don't realize people are still listening to us at all times. You know what I'm saying? And I know this is a whole different thing, but it's like, I guarantee you got people out here who are talking about Tory Lanez and Meg Thee Stallion who probably don't even listen to music, but they heard about it and they know them because they rappers. And it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's just on everybody's plate. But the point is, it's like, you got to use your influence and use your platform for the better. I mean, like, it's not going to kill you to say, hey, let's come out here and talk to the police. Hey, let's hold an event for, you know, maybe, you know, some school supplies, or a turkey drive with Thanksgiving coming up, or a Christmas drive, or, you know, or whatever. I mean, that ain't nothing wrong with that. Regular people do that, who ain't even got that big of a platform. They just local successes who doing things for their community. And ain't no different than you doing it. It's just, you got, you know, where you are, you got your platform. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing. Everybody can do the same thing. It's just about how you go about it and your attitude towards it that's going to make it work or not.
Exactly, man. Well, yo, let's just go ahead and wrap it up, because we pretty much just kind of laid it down on the line. Like, just don't use real life events to profit off of it, whether you're a corporation or a rapper. And then, like, you know, when it's time to step up and actually, you know, do the work and use your influence for something positive, don't back out.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, man.
But yo,
Stick to it, man.
any last words as we wrap this thing up?
I mean, overall, man, like I said, man, if you got a platform out here, just, you know, try to use your platform for the best. I mean, you know, I try to keep that in mind. Whenever I'm making a song, I'm thinking to myself about how people are going to hear it and what they're going to take from it. I want them to take something positive from it. You know what I'm saying? That's just where I try to keep it. So, you know, if you're not in the politics, you don't want to get into it, just don't even speak on it, man. Don't even speak on it. Let it be. Let other people cover it. And, you know, just keep doing what you're doing. That's just what I got to say about it.
All right, man. And yo, make sure y'all look out for new The Villains, new St. Pat coming soon. Make sure y'all stay on the lookout for footage for the John Evans Cast Foundation performance that me and other free radical artists did. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it. But until next time, it's your boy Vinnie Dangerous, St. Pat. Much love.
Bet.